What's up, strongest men, women, and children from blocks all around the world? I am my block's strongest man, here with my esteemed co-host, Isaac from Hunger Smash Fitness. What's up, Isaac? And we're here once again on a Monday evening with some spectacular guests, one of whom is here already, Jonathan Cotton. Hey, Jonathan, thank you for joining us this evening.
Yeah, good to be with you guys.
Yeah, you've just done two very exciting shows. Travis Ortmeyer was there with you, your teammate on one of them, the World's Strongest Team, and Travis will be joining us very soon as well for those in the audience. But we do have some Colorado boys in the audience, specifically Justin Menning. So he's been looking forward to talking with you, Jonathan.
Yeah. What's up, Justin?
Justin's a good friend of the show. Awesome. So we like to get started by kind of talking about, Isaac and I go real quick through what we've been working on this week, and then we kind of get into the meat and potatoes of the discussion. So, Isaac, you got anything coming up that you've been working on? World Open, deadlift championships, even if you haven't put anything together as of yet, because I know you're waiting to have all of the final information. What do you have in mind? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I am working on getting my predictions together for the World Deadlift Championship. I need to post that video sometime soon. I just haven't done it yet. Do you want me to actually discuss how I think it's going to happen here, or?
Yeah, let's do it. Well, how about you retain a little bit, but give us a little taste?
Okay. Well, I will tell you that I was counting on Asko winning it, setting the record, but then he pulled out because he has an injury. So I'm going to have to rework my predictions just a little bit now. Well, let me see. Should we actually go through it at all, or there's a couple?
Let's just leave it as. Do you think anyone else can pull it now that Asko's out?
With what I've been seeing currently, no. I don't think any of the other guys really have much of a shot. Asko was the only one that I felt fairly confident in saying that he had the best shot. We'll put it that way. I think Pyman, however you say his name, he has potential, but I don't quite see him getting it as of now. Maybe in another year or so. But yeah, outside of that, I'm not really seeing any of the guys breaking the 500 level.
Yeah, and Jonathan, I want to get your opinion on this too, if it's all right with you. So when we have guests on, we typically talk about all the accomplishments they've gone through lately, but also kind of what's contemporary in the sport of strongman, and kind of pick your brain because, you know, you're 1,000 times more experienced than I am at this. And so what do you think about the World Deadlift Championships? First of all, do you agree with us that Asko was the front runner? And now that he's out, do you have an opinion on what will happen?
Yeah, I think he's covered the deadlifter, right, on Instagram.
Yep.
He looked from his training, and then Pavlo, I think it's Novichenko or something. I'm probably butchering that, but both of those guys looked pretty good. I would say probably Karu was the front runner, and Pablo may have had a good shot at high fours, maybe like 485, something like that. From what I've seen from Makarov, he in his triple ply suit, he looks pretty good. He's gotten close to 500 several times, but in recent months, I haven't seen any attempts really anywhere close to that. So I'm not sure where he's at as far as his current max ability. So yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. I think we'll probably see some good numbers, maybe a 480 or something, but I doubt we'll see anybody break 501.
Yeah, I think the weights that they're doing, 475 is the next step down from the 505. So it seems like they're going right from 475 to 505. I think Makarov and Pavlo will do 475, but I don't think anybody's hitting 505 now.
I agree. I think you're right on that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see some of these guys that were going to do the deadlift only are now going to be in the full contest, and some of them we haven't seen before in Giants Live. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think Makarov is one of them.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting, seeing some of these guys doing the full comp. I was going to say, too, Rhino, I think, or Rauno, or however you say his name, I think he has a decent shot at getting the 475, but he's kind of seemed off of his game lately, too. So I'm not sure if maybe he's not showing his best or what have you. But if he's coming in shape, I think he can definitely – I think the 475 is achievable for him, attainable for him. I don't see him getting the 505 though.
And then just so everyone's aware, we have our other guest, Travis Ortmeyer, who I will bring into the telecast. What's up, Travis? We're talking deadlift world championships.
How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well. Just got home from a workout, so.
Well, thanks for joining us, man. Seems like we're always grabbing you when you're busy with something. Thanks for joining. We really appreciate it.
I don't know how that's possible. I don't feel like I'm very busy in normal life, so only when we're on the road and getting to see national parks and go to saunas and jump in cold rivers and shit like that.
Sounds great. It sounds great to me, man.
What was up with all the golfing? That looked like a ton of fun. Was that part of the competition, or was that something afterwards?
That's just something we did the day before Portugal. I guess the promoter, he lives on that golf course. So,
oh wow,
yeah, we were just kind of hanging out and got to have some fun, hit some balls, and I didn't know I could swing a club.
You didn't have a contest to see who could hit it the furthest or anything like that? Or
I don't think we had an official one. I'm pretty sure we had, everybody was watching who was the best.
We were just working on making contact with the ball mostly.
Yeah. I know. Well, my problem is whenever I go, to the putting range or anything like that, I'm 6'5", and I'm left-handed. And so none of the clubs that they have there fit me at all. And so I need to try and find a couple that I can start bringing with me that actually I don't have to do a half squat just to actually hit the ball.
Just use a driver for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool to see all the nature-based stuff you do, Travis. It's really inspiring. I go into the woods myself. Isaac was just asking me what I've been up to this weekend. Isaac, what if I show a little bit of my Instagram? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'd say go for it. You've had a couple of interesting reels and
stone over a makeshift bar out in the woods.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Yeah, there it is. How heavy was that?
No idea.
170 kilos.
I mean, you pressed it overhead like it was nothing. It's nice work, man.
There you go.
Here comes the big one.
I love how rudimentary this platform is that you've got going.
You can train strongman anywhere if you're willing to just look around and find stuff to train with, apparently.
That is absolutely true. Strongman is everywhere. And, oh, look at that. Yeah. In fact, that's actually why I got my pickup truck that I have. Because half of my original equipment was shit that I found in a parking lot or on the side of a freeway or, construction sites. You become a pretty good scavenger, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, and I just got to point out who the first comment on there congratulating me was. Thank you, Travis.
What's that?
I said I just got to point out who the first comment on that reel was congratulating me on that lift. Thank you, Travis.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got to get one of those industrial scales, bring it out, and then I can tell you what those stones weigh.
You know what? It's Strongman. Half of that shit's made up anyway. Just kind of take a guess, dude.
I'll just bring a paintbrush out there and write the number I want it to be. How about that?
There you go.
Exactly it.
whatever Isaac can lift +1.
It's one of those incredibly dense meteorites that fell to Earth.
Nice. Yeah, so before we get too far through, we are sponsored this evening, so I have to share any of the events that some of you folks have seen me cover, statistics, analytics-wise, that you really love and want to know who are the people putting on these events. It's the great guys at Garage Gym Life Media who have been so kind as to sponsor this live stream this evening, so go ahead and check them out. We'll let John, the founder of Garage Gym Life Media, tell you a little more.
A home gym, especially if you're training by yourself, can be tough because sometimes you just don't have the motivation to go in your garage or your basement and get it done. And that's why we stream competitions every month on the Garage Gym Life Media YouTube channel. I'm John Greaves, the third founder of Garage Gym Life Media, and after 20 years of training in the home gym, I can tell you that there's some days when I just don't feel like training. And those are the days when I put on some sort of training video or other strength-related content to give me the extra motivation I need to get in there and get it done. There is nothing more motivating than seeing people achieving their goals at a powerlifting meet or a strongman competition. And that's why month after month, we provide that content to you right there in the comfort of your own home on our YouTube channel. Plus, we leave it up forever so you can always just throw it on in the background anytime you need that extra dose of motivation to get you going. And that's why if you're not already a subscriber to Garage Gym Life Media, I invite you to take advantage of this opportunity to add this powerful training tool into your arsenal, because I want you to succeed right there in the best gym in town.
And we once again thank our friends at Garage Gym Life Media for sponsoring this live stream. Much appreciated. So for anybody watching, if you like what you've heard so far, please go ahead and like this stream, subscribe, and then when we're all done, make a little note on your sticky notes for yourself to go over to Hunger Smash Fitness and subscribe there as well. So why don't we get right into it? So Travis, Jonathan, how did you first get involved with Strongman Champions League? It's a 16-stage set of contests, as far as I'm aware, per year, right? And this was part 8 and 9 or 7 and 8 that you guys were competing in?
I think that's right. Yeah, I think we're kind of in the middle of this season. Has been a little weird. Last season was weird. I think we're all aware of the extenuating circumstances, but typically, yeah, I think it's 16 that they do. One of those being, I believe, 105 kg and 90 kg world championships.
Interesting. And so were you guys training together a lot before this, or was this sort of a first meeting, or how did explain that a bit?
I've met his brother once. That's as close as I've gotten to him.
And more times than I've met his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must have been a good impression if you agreed to go and compete with him.
That's what I said. If he's anything like his brother's strong as fuck. So, yeah, if he's anything like his brother, we'll be all right. And, yeah, he proved he didn't disappoint. He's definitely got strength and a strong will. So, you know, that's all you need in strongman. You can go a long way with those.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had seen a few of the other competitors that I knew were going to be there, and I saw them training together with some of the implements. So I had a little bit of an idea what we were going to be facing, but it just wasn't feasible given the time frame for us to really get together and train. So, you know, I think in the future, if we were going to do it again, hopefully we'd get a chance to at least get one session in, because some of the events, our first time trying them together was when the whistle blew, which is not ideal. Yeah.
One training session would have gone a long way, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of the implements really required coordination. Like there was one where it was, the way I would describe it is both of you were doing like a Zercher lift, but it wasn't a fixed bar, so you had to balance it. Mm-hmm. That maybe would have benefited from a training session.
Yeah, if we pick it up just right and take the same first step, then it's okay. But if you take an opposite first step, or one person starts a little faster than the other, it starts to really get off balance really quick because it's just hanging on one piece. And that machine, I think Ilka said it weighed 450 kilos. So it was 990. Yeah. And that's not counting the bar. So that's 1,000-pound machine that we're holding. Yeah, once that thing starts swaying, it got real off center real quick.
So, yeah. Geez, good memories. Not that I remember most of it. I was halfway blacked out, but hey.
You took a lot of steps for being blacked out. I'll say that.
Yeah, thankfully, yeah.
That's another thing. You know, one training session to kind of learn where to put that bar would have made a huge difference because we had fast feet. We would have had a good time. You know, so just that one little practice, and then you can train it on your own after that. But that one practice to get the timing down and to figure out high, low, what's right for me.
Right.
And then, because our foot speed was fantastic on that one. I think, we would have definitely been in the money points wise on that. But, some of the other events, there was like real tight spacing within 2 or 3 seconds. And we just seemed to, luck just rolled not our way on all of those. We kind of finished at the back of a 2-second split between 5-6 teams. It's like the front hold. If we'd have gone, he could have held another 5 seconds, but didn't know that the ref was calling my time and not his time. And, an extra 3 seconds would have given us like 4 places or 5 places.
Oh, in the front hold. Yeah. That was
I mean, that's one of those things. I think we had to go first on that one, didn't we?
Yeah.
And you never want to go first on a front hold. But, we got stuck in that cycle of going early. And so all the other teams got to see whatever mistakes we were making and correct themselves.
I will say, though, that the implements that they chose looked fantastic.
Can I say coolest
awesome.
front hold ever?
Yeah.
Cool looking. I mean, you've seen the pickaxe, you've seen all this other stuff, but like giant shiny padlocks. Now that's a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the equipment here. I mean, he did a really good job on the equipment. The super yoke with the girls on either side, the front hold locks, the 2-man log, and then just the creativity that they used for that Forester machine. One guy being on a pulley and the other guy doing straight weight. That was something else.
Yeah, I was hoping you guys could talk a little bit more about that, because watching it on the video, like, it just looks confusing. Because Travis takes off and is blasting out of there, and John's hardly moving. So, I mean, maybe John, maybe from your point of view too, maybe talk about the mental game that's playing with you, seeing Travis just disappearing into the distance and you're hardly moving with that.
Yeah. So this particular machine, it's used for logging or something. There's a John Deere plant in Uensu, and I think they were one of the contest sponsors, which is why they used it. But they have used this machine in the 2 years previous for the SCL Finland stage, just the normal stage, not a team competition. The first year they used it, I think maybe one person got it like a meter. So it was, everybody was getting kind of a meter in centimeters for their distance. Nobody had finished the course. And that was just a traditional harness hooked up to the machine. And so then the second year they did it, they attached a pulley to the machine and then had a rope attached to the same attachment point where you're pulling from. And then it comes around and loops and attaches to your harness. So as you're pulling, you're kind of pulling against the pulley, and then the rope is moving like this as the truck slowly moves forward, if that makes sense. So you're going the same distance yourself, but the machine is only going to go half the distance. So what they did for this one was kind of combine those two concepts to make it capable of a 2-person pull. So it's kind of a weird. I've never seen that before either. I've seen contests in the past where they have 2 guys hooked up to a truck, but having the one on a pulley, and like you said, mentally it was like, I was aware that he was going to be taking off faster, but it was hard to gauge like how fast I was going because, again, like, obviously you can't practice that type of event really, but if I had practiced it, I would have known like, okay, by the time he reaches this point, I should be, it just, I don't know, it would have made it a little easier, but I basically thought, you know what, I'm just going to put my head down and pull until I, until I feel the thing stop moving, because he was the one who was going to reach the finish line and trigger the whistle. So my job was basically just, add whatever extra I could to what he was pulling, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So just pull till the whistle blows, basically.
Exactly.
Kind of like football,
Yeah. They had to get creative. That thing was so nasty to pull. I mean, first off, you got those off-road tires that don't want to move, and then you have 8 wheels, and then whatever kind of gearbox that thing has for whatever kind of engine it has, so it can pull logs off the side of a mountain. So, the pulley system is what made it possible. I don't know if we'd have been able to pull it 50 feet just straight two of us pulling. You know,
Yeah.
it was a nasty. It was only something like 18 tons or something like, it was like, 35,000 pounds, which is heavy in its own right, or 40,000, 18 metric tons. So that's heavy in its own right, but it's not that heavy for two men. That would be a sprint for two men. So that thing, it fought you. It was like the guy had it in reverse. And you had to fight that pull the whole freaking way.
It did feel that way.
One thing about the pulley is it was a regular 1-inch nylon rope. So there was a whole lot of spring and give to that anchor. And, I set up too far off to the side. So I had this angle that when I started, it wanted to pull me to the side and like take me off balance, which is why, for a first 3 to 4, maybe 5 seconds, I didn't feel like I was pulling worth a shit because I was trying to figure out the mechanism and try to stay low because it kept pulling me backwards every time I did a step. So once you could see it after the start, after 5 seconds in, I really get down and I'm at the angle that Jonathan's at pulling. He's got it figured out because he's got the regular pull. And then finally, my brain wraps itself around it. And we end up with a really strong finish. But I feel like if I'd have gotten my feet under me faster, because again, that was one of those 2 to 3 second things. If I'd have gotten my feet under me faster, we would have won that event, hands down. So a little bit frustrating there. And that just kind of sums up the whole contest. Like one minor little change and we could have won the damn event. But yeah.
That event was one. I can't remember if one of us posted the score sheet after that. I tried to remember to take pictures, but the score, I believe the times were all in the 30s for seconds. And it was like, there was even a few times that were down to 100th of a second. And there was about 5 times grouped in that group, and we were the last of those. So we were like, 31 and change, and then there was someone who was 31, and then someone who was 30 and change, and it just, that kind of time difference is a few extra steps, one missed grab on the rope, and it can cause. So it's a little frustrating to finish that way and know that, man, if I could have just, but that's the nature of the game in Strongman. There's no, no complaints about that. It's just hard to feel the frustration from that sometimes.
Yeah, we ended up. Crap! I don't have the placing on it. That had us in 4th place overall, but I don't have the times. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah. I forgot to take a photo.
Yeah, I was trying to take as many pictures as I could, but yeah.
I was gonna say you guys are talking about kind of being a little bit on the wrong end of certain things, but then the sandbag toss came to play and that pattern did not continue.
Yeah.
We did that one right. There was, 9 bags? There was 4 black bags and 5 Cerberus red bags. And Cerberus have a shorter strap. The black bags had this longer strap. Totally different pull. So the teams that tried to jump from one color to the next with the same guy usually ended up screwing up one of those throws because they were trying to do it the same way. Now, if you watch in the video, my pull is a lot longer. It's a lot more swing. And then, see, you really got to get the timing of that bag down because it's like 6 inches longer. So as soon as, I finish the 4, I tag in Jonathan, and you see those straps are a different length. So he was just, in the warm-ups, he practiced those, and I practiced the black bags, and we just kind of went for broke. Like, look, you're going to get all of yours. I'm going to get all of mine. And that's just how it's going to work. And, the gamble paid off. He nailed that last one. And, I think a couple teams, their pace was a little bit faster, like especially Danis and Ivar's, but they missed one. So they ended up a couple seconds after us. And, that, again, Ivar's, I think it was, went with 4 of the black bags and 1 red bag. And as soon as he went with that red bag, it screwed it up.
So, well, and then, I love the celebration at the end as well. That's definitely, that was the highlight of the video there.
So and to give a little background on the contest too, because I know before I competed in Strongman Champions League, I wasn't really aware very much of the contests they did and everything. And I think just because a lot of the Strongman audience is UK and US based, at least, you know, the YouTube and TV audience, I don't think SEL gets as much coverage, but there was pretty stacked contest. I think there were 4 or 5 former World's Strongest Man competitors in the various teams. So it wasn't like, you know, a lot of the teams people may not have heard of because these guys compete primarily in Europe, and there's some crossover with the Giants shows, but a lot of them aren't really doing any US shows. So it was pretty stacked competition, and I just bring this up because Travis mentioned Ivars and Danis. Both of them have been to World's Strongest Man multiple times. And these guys, when we came in, I mean, I've competed against both of them before, and Travis has competed with them many times. They were the threat, definitely I would say the favorites for winners. I mean, they're both, like I said, they sometimes get looked over. You know, a lot of times Ivars will be on the World's Strongest Man list, and people kind of look over him because they don't see as much footage. But these guys are beasts, and
Ivars made the final last year.
Yeah. And I had seen both of them throw before, and specifically Danis is very explosive, and so I was thinking, like, you know, after I believe they went after us, and I was thinking, you know, our time was pretty good, but they might blow it out of the water. But the trick with throwing events is you want to be smooth and you want to make 0 mistakes. If you go real fast and make a mistake, it doesn't matter how fast you went. Now because that little mistake and an extra throw adds on so many seconds that all the other guys are going to, you know what I mean? So it's one of those kind of tricky events where you really have to you can't go totally all out, but you have to go as fast as possible while remaining smooth and keeping your form. Went our way. We had kind of messed around, like Travis said, with the bags. We got to practice a little bit. And that one, they were, I believe it was 22, 24, 26, 28, which that comes out to like 50, roughly maybe like 50, 55, 60.
28 would be a little over 60.
Yeah.
2 or something.
And then the last one was 32, which is
70.5.
Yeah. That I haven't really trained with bags that heavy, but when we were practicing, I thought, you know what, let me just give it a shot. And it went over. So I thought, okay, I know this is possible, you know? And we kind of went in with the strategies. Travis has got longer arms and he's got more throwing experience than I do. So we said, okay, you take the more difficult ones, the ones with the longer straps, like you saw him do. And then I'll take the 4 corresponding Cerberus bags. And then depending how I feel, if I pick up the other one, it doesn't feel good, or if I go for a throw and miss it, I'm not going to waste time throwing. Because with, you guys have probably seen, but with explosive strength, it falls off very quickly. So a lot of times you'll see a throwing event like World's Strongest Man, and the guy will get up there and he'll miss the second time. You pretty much know it's over. The guy wants to keep trying, but you can kind of tell the explosive strength just falls off so quick. So I was getting ready to tag him, but I picked it up and thought, you know, this feels pretty good. So I just went for it and boom, went over. So I was almost like a little surprised too. So I think that's some of what you saw in the celebration was like, oh shit, wow, we really, really ended up killing that event. So it was a nice feeling after having some, like we mentioned earlier, after having some unfortunate finishes.
How high was the bar?
4.3 meters, which is like 14, just barely over 14, I think, 14 feet.
I can't imagine throwing a 70-pound weight that high. Kudos to you guys.
Yeah, like a small adult, basically, you know, throwing them up to a second story. So it's kind of
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because John, you work as a nurse, right? So do you brag about that to your patients that you're like, well, I hurl 70-pound bags over 15-foot bars or whatever.
If only they get unruly.
Yeah. Don't mess with me. We got,
Or that's sometimes I'll have a heavier patient that elderly patient or something that can't move themselves, and they'll have to move up in bed, and they'll say, "Oh, we need to call the lift team," and I'm like, "What? They only weigh 100 kilos or something."
I am the lift team.
I am the lift team.
Yeah. Like, don't waste your time. Take a lunch break or something. You know.
By the way, Travis, a question for you. Brother Mister wants to know, how was it having Oberst stay with you for a few weeks before Worlds?
Oh, Oberst is a good guy. He's a good training partner. He's a lot of fun. And, we did a lot of his YouTube thing, which is always fun, like the sushi eating challenge. But, yeah, Oberst is a good dude. So we had a good time.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was a fun one.
Had you met Oberst before that time? Or I don't remember if you guys never competed together or anything.
Yeah, I met him when he was still an amateur rookie. And then we did a pilot for a reality show back in 2012. And the show fell through because our contact with A&E was also the same guy who worked with Duck Dynasty. And that's when the Duck Dynasty guy said all the crap about gay people, and it kind of ruined that whole connection. So the show never came out, but Oberst was a part of that. And maybe he'll hit me back with the favor on the history's strongest men.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. But yeah, I've known him for years. I hadn't seen him since then until I want to say it was like 2018, 2017. He and Cale Beck drove through here, and we reconnected, hung out, and then he's come back through. He's got family about a half hour outside of Reno. So anytime he visits them, we train together.
Was his head the same size back then, or has it gotten bigger as time goes by?
You know what? I think he's always had a really big head. But his haircut doesn't help. It was shaved then. It's not shaved now. And his hair just kind of grows.
Yeah, I got to. He showed up at one of the competitions I did a little bit ago, or that I helped out at. And first thing, like when he walked up, I was like, he's a big dude, but that is a massive head. Like that's the first thing you notice about him.
He's got a thick skull.
I used to think Isaac was big until I saw that photo.
Hang on a minute, guys. I think I got to let my dog out. Y'all take care for a minute.
Yeah, man. Well, so Justin says he's seen you throw a keg about 30 feet in the air. Had to call NASA to let him know it's not a UFO.
I do love throwing events. That's one of my favorites.
Speaking of, Jonathan, what do you do on October 2nd? I think I'm going to join Justin in trying to convince you to go do Tournament of the Titans, too.
Yeah, I was kind of on the fence, dealing with a little bit. Oh, there's the dog. Hey, buddy. He's joining our interview here. Yeah, I got a little bit of a back injury I'm dealing with, and then I got to see what other contest plans I have. But I would love to do that one. United States Strongman is kind of starting a pro category, which is an interesting topic. The European guys and stuff, when I talk to them, none of them really have a concept of pro or amateur strongman. It's kind of just you just start competing, and if you do well enough, you go to the next contest and the next one, and there's no real pro cards. It's kind of a specific to the U.S., it sounds like. But I guess USS is going to try to kind of differentiate it. I believe they're doing it because they want to – I believe what I read in their announcement, they wanted to create like almost like a few pro athletes that they kind of help out and sponsor to get to the contests.
Yeah, so if you want to learn anything more about that, Willie Wessels broke the news on my channel, so you can go take a look through my older lives. Well, not older live streams, a few weeks ago, actually, whenever right before USS Nationals.
I'll have to check that out, yeah.
It was like episode 15, 16, something like that, I think is when we had them on.
5 weeks ago or something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to Billy a few times. That was actually when you had asked at the beginning of the show, but that was actually how I kind of got into SCL. I was competing with USS and went to their nationals in 2018 and won the 275 division, the heavyweight division, and my brother took a very close second. It was like a point and a half. I think, and the points were it was like 100 something. So it was like 109 and 108.5, or it was super close. So typically they send just the winner over to the SCL Finish Open. But I guess because we were brothers and we kind of finished close, they sent both of us over, and that was kind of how we kind of broke into with Champions League.
I hope you hold that over his head every chance you get.
Yeah, because I have not been able to beat my brother. I don't know if you've seen any of his training or stuff, but he's another level with his overhead press specifically. Like I believe he did a 200 kilo Viper, I think, or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, his press has gotten really strong.
Yeah, I can't really hang with him on that. It used to be I could beat him at the cardio events, but but now he's even started to prove with that. So I got to really hang on to that Nationals win. But yeah.
We got to have a Viper World Championships. Tyler Cotton and Wes Claiborne go at it.
Yeah, man. Wes has had a couple over 400 too that I've seen. He's another one who's just unbelievable pressing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got that down.
Yeah. I was going to say too, when you guys were talking about the Deadlift World Championships, one guy you got to watch out for. I've gotten to see him compete a few times. I met him a few times, but Gabe Pena. I don't know. His deadlift is ridiculous. I don't know if he's really peaked himself for a 500 yet, but he's doing the whole contest now, and he's really one to watch out for. He kind of had an unfortunate first bout at Worlds. He had some medical issues, so he wasn't able to really showcase. But I think a lot of people are going to be talking to him after Saturday. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, Gabe actually was kind enough to give me an interview on my channel. Great guy. We had a great interview, and his deadlift is incredible.
Yeah.
I feel some sort of way about him not being allowed to compete at Worlds this year, but maybe we leave that for another time.
Yeah. It's the politics of Worlds are Travis has talked about that. We actually had a lot of downtime to talk. When you share a room, it is a tiny room too. I posted a picture on my.
He's much room between the beds. Yeah,
it was
side by side twin beds.
Yeah.
What is this? Strongman Champions League Tokyo?
They were better than cardboard. But
yeah. The Finnish people are very, they're kind of minimalistic. So the hotel room was very, function over form, I would say. But it was nice. It was nice though. But definitely not the space I might be used to. Yeah.
It's not built for large people.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of Europe is that way. Even in Portugal, I had my own room and my own bed, but it was still two twin mattresses stuck together. Like I found myself kind of falling between them and spreading the beds out overnight. Like, come on, give me a big fat king size mattress. Where the hell are those?
Yeah, exactly.
They just don't do that much in Europe.
Did you guys have air conditioning at least?
What's that?
Yeah, the one in Portugal did. Finland did not.
Really?
Finland, the room was hot as shit. Even when it was cold, it was really cold outside. Like the last 2 days we were there, and it was kind of rainy. And we would wear jackets outside. We'd get in the room, and it was like 90 degrees. We had two fans going. I don't know how they kept it so hot. It's like we were over the top of the kitchen or something.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, yeah, that speaking of European customs, I love my family in Italy, but none of them use air conditioning. I go there in the summer and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I can get warm in Italy. Yeah. Which part?
They're all over. So I have a cousin in Rome. I have cousins up in Ravenna, which is an hour south of Venezia. I have family in the south in the Avellino region. So all around.
Yeah, I know the South and I know Rome. It gets hot. It gets real hot during the summer. Yeah, screw that. No air conditioning. No, it's too hot for that shit.
They literally just open the window. I'm like, but it's hot out there too.
That's exactly it.
But enough about me. Let's talk some more about the events because that wheelbarrow thing was crazy. That's the coolest looking, I'm going to say about every event at SCL Finland. That's the coolest looking wheelbarrow race I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that machine on there was. It was some kind of wood shredding machine. It had two big spinning blades on the top, and then it was all engine. I think it was something like 770 in the hands, 350 kilos in the hands.
Yeah, I think that's what they told us. Yeah.
Kind of a cool event. We had to push it slightly uphill.
Yeah,
that was one. I was going to be worried about that one for my hamstring, but I just leaned forward and used the toes, and it was all quads. I just kind of pushed off. But with that wide base, it was easy to steer, so you could really kind of just lean into it. Yeah, I don't know what that machine was. It was big.
And you can see I had a little hiccup there, and Travis is just screaming at me to get it. So it really helped actually having someone like Travis there. Kind of made a dive over the finish line. I'm going to make this run as fast as I can because I'm not going to,
Yeah, but Travis was just describing a big machine. I thought he was describing himself.
So the mistake with
wheelbarrow is one of my best events. That's one that I've always been fortunate enough to have really fast feet and a good sense of direction, I guess, on.
The mistake with this, you can see Travis finished, he took off like a rocket. And he was kind of explaining it to me afterward. Again, it was kind of our first time touching these implements. But I kind of carried it. I picked and carried a little more like a frame carry, like kind of a straight up pick and then walking straight. Whereas Travis, like he was saying, kind of picked it up already with a forward lean and got up on his toes. That way you're letting the machine pull itself forward and you're just kind of keeping up. And so I think if I had adjusted a little bit, I might have been able to go a little faster. We still had a pretty decent time because a lot of guys struggled with that. But we could have had I think maybe a top time with a little tweak in form on that. But hey,
because what they did, they took both of our times and added them together. That was our score. Yeah, and that's how they did a lot of those events. They did the
front hold. Was that
front hold? We added the times together. The yoke frame, I think, was just one time. They didn't do a split or anything. And I think the same was true with the what was the other event with the two parts? Oh, no, they didn't need a split because it was a two-man carry. So that was just one time. Yeah, I think it was just the front hold and then this one. They just added them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that something unique to Strongman Champions League, or is that like cumulative time something you've seen in other shows?
What's that?
Oh, for a team competition, you mean?
Yeah, like the cumulative time idea.
I mean, that's just kind of logistically speaking, probably the best way to do an event like that. Otherwise you do the event together, like two-man log or the two-man truck pull, or you do separate parts and just give one time with no splits, like the yoke and the frame carry. This is kind of cool. I think it was my second time doing a two-man team competition. The other time was in Russia with a guy named Andy Vincent. And that was the only other time I did a two-man log, and it was for Max.
Is that Matt Vincent's brother?
Yeah, Matt Vincent's brother.
From Hate Brand?
Yep, that's him.
He's like a Highland Games, right? Wasn't he in Highland Games too, Andy?
Highland Games world champion. Matt was the world champion. Andy is he's definitely professional, and I don't know what level he got to as a pro. But he's a damn good athlete, really good. That was why I picked him for my team. He was a former NFL player, and I know if we went to Russia was going to try and screw with us some way. Yeah. So I needed somebody that was going to be mentally tough to do it. And we actually – the flight didn't get messed up. We had the wrong visa. So we had to spend an extra day at JFK running to the Russian embassy, getting a different stamp and a different visa, and almost not getting it because my passport was completely full. And, it was the second day we were there. We were getting our passports back from the embassy, and this Russian guy is handing the passport back to Dion Wessels because she was helping us out. She was our coordinator. He hands Andy's back and goes, "Oh, his problem with this passport is no room." And I was like panicking, going, "Oh shit, we're not going to go because my passport's full." And as he thumbs through, I see the last page only had 2 stamps on it. I went, "I don't see anything on that last page." He goes, "Okay," slaps the visa in there, gives it to me, and we were freaking off, man. But then because we were on a different flight, delayed, we ended up getting to Russia 4 hours before the competition started. So we had time to get some shitty white bread and mayonnaise with celery or something on it sandwich, put our stuff down, and then go to the competition site. And then we ended up winning 4 events to 1. I think the only one that we lost was the 2-man log, but everything else we won. And that's why I knew I needed somebody tough, mentally tough, that wasn't going to fall apart to go to that contest with. So, yeah, when it comes to a 2-man team or, hell, even a 4-man team, if you've got even one guy who just doesn't quite have it mentally, it's going to bring a whole team down crashing. And that's why it's so important to have someone like Jonathan who he passed out in the middle of an event and says, no, we're going to finish this. Like, yeah, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've never seen a team show before this, and it was awesome to watch the team dynamic, and also, like I said, the implements they chose were just really cool looking.
Yeah, Ilka puts a lot into this show. It's always a good show every year.
Yeah.
So that's the first of the SCL shows that I wanted to talk about this evening. The other one, Travis, I won't bury the lead. You went on to win. Like, I'm crowning you the king of Portugal now.
Not a bad place to rule, that's for sure. It was beautiful there, man. We got
to get you a crown so you can alternate your typical cowboy hat and crown another day and switch on and off.
I'll take that. All right. No, it was a good contest for me. I was fortunate to have a full week of rest because I kind of tweaked my hamstring. Obviously, I tore it at Worlds, but I felt it kind of light up a little bit when I was warming up for the yoke in our yoke frame carry 2-man medley, and I just babied it, took it day by day, and did whatever rehab I could on it, and then really I had a little talk with myself on the bus ride over to the competition because we had about a 30-minute drive from the hotel to the contest site. And I just kind of zoned in and was halfway asleep. And I was telling myself, you're not going to have any pain. In fact, what you're going to do is you're going to turn that little piece of hamstring off and you're going to use everything else. It's not even going to activate. You're going to use everything around it. You're going to go as hard as you need to because you're going to kick ass. And we're not going to have any pain. No pain, no weakness, only strength and power. And I just kept repeating that to myself throughout the day. And it paid off, as you can see there. So, yeah, I think, that kind of set the tone for the day. And then that deadlift just felt perfect. The deadlift was just the right height for me. It was one of those days where just, all cylinders were firing. And I think the reps to beat was 7, put up by the guy who won the competition a couple of years ago, Oleg Silka. And he did 7. And I saw how some of the other guys were doing. And I saw the guys who were supposed to go after me. And I knew that if I beat the 7, that was going to be enough. So I just kind of went out there. I kept telling myself 8, just repeating it, 8, 8, 8. And the whistle blew, and 20 seconds later, I'd won the event. So it was a great start. Let's just put it that way.
And that looked like what, about a 15-inch deadlift?
Yeah, or 16, something like that, with a little bit of flex in the bar, not a whole lot. But I could see if you started to struggle or if you got a little forward on your toes and it started to wobble, it would really screw with you. Or if you were a real fast off the floor kind of puller and then slow to lock out, it would bury your ass because you get that whip and it would just take you right back down to the ground. But, for me, I'd pull the slack out and then just fire, and my lockout's really strong. So every rep just felt really good. I just timed them perfectly. And, it was all ass. It was all glutes. I didn't even feel my hamstrings on the whole thing.
That's all. And Jonathan, you competed at that show as well, like we say, a week after Finland. So how did that deadlift go for you? What are your impressions?
Just about the opposite, I would say. Unfortunately, I had I don't know which event it was. I think it may have been on the frame carry, but I had like an SI joint injury, which I've dealt with in the past, and it's frustrating because it's not a real injury. It's not like a torn bicep or something. It's like but
I'd call that a real injury when your leg doesn't work. That's a hell of an injury.
Yeah, it was kind of shooting down my left hamstring and almost felt like or my right hamstring almost felt like it couldn't contract. It was in a lot of pain and everything. But I thought, like Travis said, I thought, well, we got a week off in between. Maybe I can. But all of the sitting on the travel day from Finland down to Portugal was brutal. And we got up, I think, at 4:30 in the morning to get a 5 a.m. train. Took that was like a 5-hour train or so to get to Helsinki airport. Then from Helsinki, I was flying to Amsterdam, had like a little bit of a layover there, then finally Amsterdam to Porto. Travis didn't even make it to Porto that day. Yeah. He got stuck in the airport, and I didn't even get to the hotel. So we woke up what 4:30 in the morning. I didn't make it to the hotel in Portugal till 11:30 that night. And just all the sitting like really just beat my back up. And so the it's real fun to watch somebody zero. But this same setup I did 2 years ago and got 3 reps. And the way my deadlift training had been going leading up to this, I thought, man, the way everything's feeling, I think I might be good for 5 or 6. So to get up there and just have it not move at all. And I think, I know you guys probably have this experience too. If you have a back strain or a back injury and you pull on a deadlift and it doesn't move, it almost hurts worse than if it did move and you finish it,
Yeah.
And so unfortunately, I think that
event true. If any time that I pull a deadlift and miss, I know I'm going to be totally screwed for the next few days. I'd rather grind out a rep for like 6 or 7 seconds than pull for 3 or 4 and it not go anywhere. That is the worst feeling.
So forget I brought up the deadlift. Let's talk about this awesome frame that you did.
Yeah. So the frame care, I determined him, I zeroed the first event, and I've had contests before where an event didn't go my way and I really got kind of down in the dumps, and then I ended up doing well anyway. So I thought, regardless of how the day goes, I'm going to have a short memory with this. I'm going to forget this event and turn it on for the next. And I'm not quitting. I'm going to finish the contest regardless of how my back feels, even if I have to, wheelchair through an event or something. But so I was determined to keep going. And this event, actually, the frame was light enough that I was able to pick it up and move even with the lower back and the hamstring. So that was a little encouraging. The other thing I was thinking too, and Travis and I talked quite a bit about this, is just the opportunity to be in a setting like this. I was trying to really absorb all of the size. I mean, it's a beautiful location, and as you can see, this company, MSF Fitness, they make some really awesome looking equipment. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to enjoy this experience, try to do as best as I can on the rest of these events, even starting off with a 0. And thankfully, this frame did go pretty well. It wasn't the top time, but I felt pretty good about it.
So it was a cool frame to watch, anyway.
Yeah,
it was a really good frame to use, and it was really cool looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, for anybody watching who has not yet liked the stream, what are you waiting for? Like the stream, subscribe to the channel, write down in your little notepad to go over to Hunger Smash Fitness and subscribe there when we're done here. All good things. We deserve it. We work hard. Come on. All right. Moving on. Yeah, moving on. There was some circus dumbbell at that contest as well. We want to take a look at that.
I think we tied on that one.
Yeah, we both. Little bit of a frustrating event, I think, for both of us. I think we were both capable of some more. If you see the videos, we both had some real close, here when it needed to be here, kind of lockouts, But nice looking dumbbell. The problem with it was the handle was. I'm used to training on like a 2.5 or 3 inch, so like Coke can basically. This one, I don't know if it's smaller than that. It felt smaller, and it was a long handle. So normally you fit your hand in there, and you got only about that much room between the bells. This one you had. I don't know. I want to say it was like maybe a 6-inch handle. So there's a lot of that means you can't brace your hand against the side of it. There's a lot of wiggle room this way, if that makes sense.
See, personally, for me, I liked that better because I got really long forearms, and it just fits me more comfortably than those short ones. Because the short ones end up making me, and I think this is why my dumbbell has sucked so freaking bad the last couple of years because I've trained with one of those, and it just screws me all up, and I have to pull the whole thing way out, and then it gets really, heavy out here because I can't get it in there. If I try to get it in tight, I get so jacked up in the forearm and the shoulder that I get this horrible ripping feeling in my shoulder. So, yeah, but no excuse. I could adapt. And in the warm-ups, I felt the spot that I needed it. I just only hit that spot on 1 rep. So, but coming back next time, I think I would take more time between each rep and think about where I've got it. And then I think just in practice, I need to really work on my footing because I just felt like I was getting pulled forward on my toes every time. And then that just sucked the energy out of my legs. So just one excuse after another. My dumbbells sucked. There you go.
Oh, man, I'm bringing up bad feelings. Which event would you like to discuss? How about that? There was a tire flip. What'd you think of the tire flip?
Personally, I liked that last event. It was a drag race. It was quick.
Oh, yeah.
And the tire was really nice. It was a brand new tire, so you had lots of tread. You can kind of grab the sides of the tread rather than open your biceps up and have to grab the bottom. Because, this is where it gets dangerous. If you can keep your hands turned. Yeah, that was it was a really nice tire. It was about 900 pounds.
Yeah, and it was just tall enough where you want it to be, the width of it to be tall enough that you can get your chest up against it and start the motion by driving into it with your chest rather than pulling up with your biceps. Because it's kind of a risk for a bicep injury on this type of event. And it was a nicely balanced tire that way. On my run, unfortunately, this is what I was talking about where I said I'm going to finish no matter what. The guy I went against, I competed with him a couple years ago too, Fabio Silva. He's a Portuguese strongman, real strong kid. He had injured his lat on something, and I was dealing with this SI joint thing. I mean, I could barely walk without a limp, but I thought, I'm just going to get these freaking sandbags on.
Limping with the sandbag.
yeah, it was awful. Luckily, one of the guys there had some pain meds. Didn't ask any questions as to how he was able to get them. Definitely controlled substances from my knowledge of meds from the hospital, but that helped a little bit. But it was still quite a decent amount of pain in my back and hamstring. But with just one event left, I mean, you can't, you got to have that mindset of just you can't quit. You got to finish. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And
I normally love sandbag carries. That's one of my favorite events. Anything where you got to pick something up and run around with it. I mean, I love events like that.
We kicked ass on the sandbags in Finland. We had a little.
Yeah, that's true. That event
was
went
one
really
thing.
well.
We had a little mishap, misunderstanding with the referees. On the sandbags in Finland, there was 4 of them. He was supposed to do 2. I was supposed to do 2. We asked beforehand because I had the injured hamstring, like, can he do 3 and me just do 1? And the referee said yes, but I think he misunderstood exactly how we intended to do these because I was supposed to at least attempt the second one before tagging him in to finish. So that was supposed to be like the time penalty for me not being able to do my part. What we did was he just blasted through 3 of them and then tagged me in for the last one. So all I had to do was pick it up and load it. I didn't have to run back and risk tweaking the hamstring on the sprint back. So yeah, as soon as I picked the last one up, we're being yelled at. You can see in the video, I'm holding the bag, walking. I'm over here talking to the judge. It's like, well, shit, So they gave us a time penalty on that, and that was one of those that cost us a few places.
Yeah, I'll dig that one up as well. But after this incredible effort on an injury and limping, Jonathan, I got to give you a heart on this one. There you go. We'll click the like button. All right, let's find the one Travis is talking about here. So this will be
now. Travis's race was awesome because we all knew they had just called out the points that Irvin Toots, who is also has been to World's Strongest Man a few times and stuff. Irvin Toots had sneaked ahead of Travis by a half a point with one event left to go. So we all knew as they went through the groups of this. This is still talking about Portugal, the tire flip and sandbag thing. We all knew that it was going to be whoever won that race was going to win the whole thing. So it was really fun to watch. And after you play this footage here, actually this is me against Irvin.
Yeah, this is you and Irvin.
And Irvin can hustle, so I was pretty jacked to be pretty stoked to be keeping ahead of him because Irvin's no joke when it comes to moving events. And then you'll see on this third bag, you can't hear the noise, but somebody blows a whistle. Somebody says, wait. And as Travis picks up that 4th bag, he's literally turning his head to the side, having a conversation with the ref as he's trying to run with this 4th bag, which is kind of funny. I don't think I've seen something like that before. So you can see the ref over here trying to talk to him as he's trying to sprint with a.
I'm thinking, what? What do you mean? Screw it. Just finish the damn race, Travis. It's
yeah.
At this point, just you can't do anything. Just go.
Yeah.
So that was an immediate. Nope, can't do that. He's like, God dang it.
Yeah, and that was another one. Like Travis said, this was one that was an all-out sprint, and these bags, I think they were 120 kilos or something. So they, 260 or whatever, 265, which for most of these guys wasn't a challenging weight. So it was more about all-out speed. And so we knew it was going to be a tight race, and it was one of those ones where you had a group of 3 or 4 teams within a half second or so of each other. So getting a 2-second time penalty for the mistake we made was kind of put the nail in the coffin as far as us having a podium finish, unfortunately. But it is what it is. I felt good about that run. I thought we hustled. I thought Travis did awesome having the hamstring injury and still booked it down there with that bag. So I was still proud of us, even with the broken rules there.
Yeah, live and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just a quick reminder, anybody in the audience, if you have questions for Travis or Jonathan, feel free to let us know. We'll pop them up on the screen. But yeah, did we get through all the events?
Well, yeah, I think
there was the last one, me versus Irvin. That's a fun one to watch, I think.
If you want to show that video, I think I think Travis has it on his Instagram.
Yeah, it's on your Instagram.
But that one was like all of us other competitors were on the edges of our seats watching it too, because everybody who competes in strongman obviously is a fan of strongman also, and this was just a fun event to watch because you knew it was 2 really fast guys down to the wire. Whoever wins this event takes the whole thing, and it was like it was a cool moment to watch.
Yeah, you want to point me to it, Travis?
You're gonna have to scroll up.
Probably your most recent post, right? Or
close to it. It's keep going. After it's
there, it is.
In the middle there
with the 2 tires. Yeah, I see.
Here we go.
He definitely had the better start. Pulling it down was a better way to go.
That was a good idea. Yeah, I hadn't seen anybody else do that. That was creative.
But I knew if you lined up right and flipped it one motion like that, that was the key. All I needed to do was line my hands up right and get set and then do it in one big flip, and I was going to be able to make up good time. And then
so close. I forget what the times were, but within a second of it was like it was a drag race for sure. Yeah.
It was once I saw, I don't know, something in me said once I pushed off the tire, just that split second before him, I knew I was going to have that one. I knew I was going to have it because the sandbags felt right, and I was 100% focused on him at that point. I didn't even know where he was until I loaded the second one, and I noticed he was behind me. So I just continued with my momentum up on top of the tire, and the rest I just kind of blacked out after that. And whatever happened, like that shit right there, that just happens.
That's when it just happened. Did he come in second? Was that for
I'm pretty sure we had first and second on that event.
Yeah,
he did.
Yep.
Half a point. Wow.
And then he was a half a point in front of me going into that event. So I had to win that in order to win overall, and he had to win it to win overall. So there was no chance of a tie there was no chance of a tie.
Right. Yeah.
So it was winner take all, and that was one of those. I had another one of those little talks with myself just before that, and said, "There's no pain, no weakness," and I just turned the hamstring pain off. It was gone. It didn't matter anymore. This was the last event. Even if I felt something, it wouldn't have mattered. I was going to go 100%. Thankfully, nothing happened. I felt really good the whole day on that, but thankful, probably because of that little talk I had with myself on the bus. But it just it was one of those times where everything worked out, man.
I was wondering who you're talking to. I'm just He's up in the front seat just talking to himself like a homeless guy. Like, yeah, it's not.
No, I mean, so the one question I have for you is this: when you talk to yourself, do you think that you're as interesting as we think you are?
Yes. I think I'm the funniest person in the world, which is why if you ever see any of the bullshit that I post, I really post it because I'm laughing my ass off at it. And hopefully someone else finds joy in it as well. But really, I just do it because I think it's funny as shit. You know, like the everybody thinks strongmen are dumb thing. I just did that because I was laughing my ass off the whole time I was writing the sheets out. I'm like, this is fucking stupid and funny as hell. And I was having a good time with it, you know, and thankfully other people enjoy what I think is funny.
I'm the same way, man. I think I'm the funniest guy in the world too, but I'll gladly take third place. So you're the funniest guy in the world. Kevin Hart's number 2 and I'm number 3.
I'll take that. All right. That's good company. But you know, when to get kind of halfway serious for a moment, it's important to talk to yourself, I think. And I've always had this thing, even since I was a kid, where I refer to myself as we, or like let's go. So let us go. I've always referred to myself in the plural form. It's kind of weird. But then I realized that I'm talking to myself as though I've got this little person back here who's kind of sitting back and taking notes. And that person actually helped save me when I was going through all my mess, my darkness back in the day. You know, because it's more of a rational note taker back here. And then this part of Travis is just crazy. So he kind of keeps me grounded a little bit. But, you know, having that internal dialogue is definitely healthy. Don't sit on a corner and talk out loud to yourself. And don't, for the love of God, start yelling at yourself when no one's around. You know, maybe just a couple barks here and there real quick. God damn it, you know, that kind of shit. But sometimes that's necessary. A couple little headbangs against the wall. But 2 is enough. 3 is crazy. That's the rule. That's the rule. But yeah, I mean, if you've got that internal dialogue, then you know where your true north is. You know, that helps align your compass and balance you out when, you know, maybe the stress of a big competition when you're going into it with an injury can overwhelm you and cause you to make mistakes. So there, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Yeah, man. You always give us great advice, Travis. That's Jonathan, you don't know this. We call Travis the world's strongest philosopher on both our channels.
You know, it's interesting. Probably what a lot of people know about Travis is his strongman career. And same with me. You know, I had, when I was younger, watching World's Strongest Man and saw his early career and everything. But it was really interesting we got, like I said, a lot of time in close proximity, whether we wanted to or not. And we actually did talk quite a bit about philosophy and everything. I mean, obviously a little bit about training, but I think a lot of people think like, you know, this is big meathead. He lifts weights really well, and that's about it. But yeah, I would say most of our conversation was philosophical topics and, you know, talking politics and religion and everything you're not supposed to talk about. But it was a blast for sure.
Yeah, I gotta say, every strongman and strongwoman I've talked to so far, of all of them, I haven't found a meathead among them yet.
Well, I think, you know, strongman, we're the black sheep of the strength world. So already we're different.
Yeah.
You know, and to be able to do a sport like this, one, you've got to have not only loose screws, but missing screws. But, you know, there's that fine line between genius and insanity. And I think we're kind of straddling that pretty well. So we're a little bit crazy, but you got to be really smart to be a little bit crazy and then make it work. So, you know, that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, for sure. Jonathan, so you talked about you watched Travis's early career. Who else did you watch in your youth, and who'd you enjoy watching?
I just got to say something really quick.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Guys keep coming up to me and they're like, "Oh man, you know, you're this and that. I used to watch you as a kid," and I'm like, I mean, that's really cool and all, but you know. Yeah. And now I know what it's like for those guys when I started. you know, like in particular, Magnus Samuelsson, I was like, you're my favorite. I used to watch you all the time when I was growing up. Like now I'm on the other side of that, looking at it going, hey, shut up, you little punk.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
listen,
anyway,
man, Travis, I watch you now, Travis. That's all I'll say. I watch you now.
Yeah.
I'm older than you are, so you know, just take heart in that.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is Travis and I are not actually? I think we're only 2 or 3 years apart. So it's not like, you know, I was a little kid and he was. It's just that he started his career long before I started mine. So in strongman years, my first contest was 2015. I always tell people too. I was in the novice class and took 4th place. So I like to always let people know that in case somebody new or something is watching. I was pretty discouraged. And I thought, I don't know, maybe this sport isn't for me. But you know, fast forward a few years and things, you put enough work in, you know, things can change. But yeah, I think I had always watched, you know, when it was, I guess it would be on around Christmas or New Year's, and I had always watched with my dad, even in the you know, earlier days with I think the first clear memories I have, it was when like Mariusz Pudzianowski's when he was kind of at the top for a number of years. And then but I remember the era with Justin, the era with Travis, and I think he was just a year or two ahead of Brian Shaw when he came on the scene, and Derek Poundstone, and I really admired those guys, especially you know, Brian's a great athlete and he's still in the sport, but Travis and Derek had this mentality that you could see come out in contests that I always thought, you know, if I compete or when I compete or whatever, this would be the mentality I would want to have, where it's like an all-out attack. It's not and this is something that I still try to work on. I was mentioning about my brother a little earlier, and his competition style is sort of, you know, I always say mine is kind of more analytical. Like I try to look at the events and I try to think like, who's going to finish where and where should my feet be and where should this be. My brother's strategy is typically like, take the gas pedal and as far down as it goes, we'll keep it down there. And that's all he thinks about. And there's something to be said for that. Like there is value in having the analytical approach, but there's something to be said about being able to shut everything else out, shut out all the distractions, and just let that berserker come out. And that's something that Travis has really mastered, I think, and something that I learned that I learned from watching his earlier career and guys like Derek Poundstone and stuff. But there's something to be said for having access to that type of mentality for competition, because I think it really does help on some of those events, you know, working through an injury, let's say, or an event that's not your best, and just being able to turn on full gas and, you know, something I've always admired.
Well, it kind of goes back to what I said about those missing screws.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, it looks like that Viper was 435.
Oh, there we go. So almost.
Wow. I guess that's like 197 kilos.
Yeah, just shy of. I don't know. Has there ever been a 200 kilo Viper on record?
The way he moved his feet, though, I think if he steadied himself in the hole and really turned it on and charged up, he's got another 10 or 20 pounds in him. Like, watch how fast he does this. Like, there's no pause there. He just goes right into it.
Kind of doesn't make sense when I watch it in person. Like, what the hell
That's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah.
God dang. So that's something I need to get up. Is my overhead ability is absolute crap.
So yeah, we didn't talk. Speaking of that, we didn't talk about the first event, the log press. That was the one that we did get to practice a little bit with the empty log, and I think we have my best press is like just under 400. I haven't broken the 400 mark yet. I think Travis has gotten over 4.
Not with the log. No, my log's been horrible lately.
But this log was only 260 kilos, so you know, roughly 130 each, which is around, what is that?
386.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. It's even lighter than 3. So we thought weight-wise, we should be able to handle this. But in the warm-ups or the day before, we just practiced with the empty log. Like we picked it up 2 or 3 times. So we had this system where we're going to go up. Kind of, I was watching him out of the corner of my eye. He was kind of leading, and then do the press together. We kind of press similar ways. Like if you had a guy who was a split jerk and another guy who's more of a strict presser, it wouldn't work so well. But we kind of had a similar dip and drive. The problem was that at the bottom, we said, you know, we'll drop it down to the bottom. We'll take a second to reset, and but the guys like the other team I mentioned earlier, Danis and Ivars, they were just going right into it. And once we got into our second or third rep, I was thinking, man, we could be doing these faster. Like I'm not really gassed much. But in the middle of the event, it was hard to adjust like that. So we ended up, I think we got 4 reps, and I think the winning team was 7, maybe 8.
We came close on the 5th.
Yeah, we came close to a 5th, but that was the other thing. I pressed the 5th, and I was like to here, almost locked out, and Travis was just starting his press. And with the way the physics work on that, once the one side is up, this guy is pressing so much more weight. So if we had gotten to practice beforehand, I would have realized the strategy then. If you see that your partner isn't up, you come back to the chest, and then you both start and do it together. Then it's easy. So, again, but just since we had brought up overhead press, I thought since we hadn't talked about that event, that was one that I think our capability was quite a bit more than what we were able to put in. Very interesting, though. I would love to try it just in training, even if I don't ever have it again in a contest, because it's a super interesting event to time something as dynamic and explosive as a log press with another person attached to the same log that you're attached to. It's just very
attached to the same log. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
You could feel when the other person kind of engages. And if you're a split second ahead or a split second behind, it's like either it doesn't freaking want to move, or it's, you can tell that you're off, you're behind. And if you're behind, you get pulled forward. And yeah, there's a lot to an event like that, especially when you start throwing in a push press.
Yeah.
Like you were doing. If there was any kind of push jerk, which I've seen, I feel like I saw Misha and another guy do a push jerk on a 2-man log.
That's just
how they timed that is just
yeah.
That's great. Did either of you have a video posted about that event?
No, that's the one thing that we didn't, unfortunatally. A lot of these contests that I've done in the past, my wife has come along. She's a flight attendant, so she gets kind of discounted flights. So she's usually my videographer for these, but given having the baby and everything, it kind of wasn't an option this time. So we were kind of just randomly handing our phones to bystanders to get video footage. So that one, unfortunately, we didn't get a shot of.
Yeah, I was looking. I couldn't find one, but I miss things sometimes. I get things 99.3% of the time, but for that other 0.7, I need some help.
Yeah. Now there is it may end up on the contest footage. The thing with SCL, I see this all the time in the comments on their posts, and they don't put a ton of effort into their social media. They'll post stuff, but there's no interaction. So I always feel bad when I see people commenting like, "Oh, you're never going to get a response," But, so just in case anybody's listening or watching, so they do show it on European TV. I think it's in like 90 countries or something. They've told me. The U.S. and the U.K. not being one of those countries, unfortunately.
Well, I've seen like 2017, 2018, and 2019
on like MSG or one of those.
It's on like local sports networks. Yeah,
I have too, just randomly. But they do also have a streaming site that I think they do like a free 2-week trial, and then I forget how much it is monthly, but you can just pay for a month.
It's like $7.99 a month. It's like $8.
And you just watch the contest you want to, and then so for anybody who's maybe in your audience or something who's wondering, there is strongmanworldseries.com.
Yeah,
and you could go there, and there's content all the way back to 2013. You can watch like Zadrun. Oh, there we go. Hey, buddy. You can watch old contests with like guys like Zadrunas and Irvin Katona and some of the older guys in the sport from when Travis was just a newbie in the sport all the way up to more recent times, and a lot of guys that have ended up in Eddie Hall and Thor and all those guys got their start in Champions League. So it's kind of an interesting site if you're a fan of Strongman to go check that out, and I think it's worth the subscription fee, even if you just get it for a month or two just to watch some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's $7.99 a month. It's nothing.
Yeah,
that's a no-brainer. I mean, Strongman Champions League, he was accomplished before that, but that's where Ivars really got his notoriety. He won, I think, the whole thing, the whole point standing for the whole year in 2019, I believe, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Did he win that in 2019?
I think so.
Yeah.
Danish won it the year before.
Right.
Yeah, because they said that he dethroned Dennis. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because Ivars is a badass, man. He's tough.
Yeah,
I had to compete with him in my friggin' group at World's Strongest Man. He made the final last year, and he was put out of the final this year, just barely. But the two guys from my group were Shaw and Maxime Boudreau, who were second and third in the finals. So
we've been through this. Like, everybody kept talking about Group 5, and I always said Group 1 was the hardest group.
I think Group 5 had 4 just, Irvin Toots kind of got thrown in last minute and wasn't maybe mentally prepared, but the 4 other guys were savages, But I think my group was probably the other hardest group, at least because, the 2 guys that went through ended up second and third in the friggin' final. They were going to be really tough to beat. And, kind of, this is how it worked out. But anyway, just to get back to Ivar's, he's only continued to improve since then.
Yeah, Ivars and I are actually trying to work something out for him to come on in a few weeks because he's going to be in the States for the Shaw Classic. So the time zones will work out a little better. So we're trying to work something out. Yeah. He's a good guy.
Funny too. Very, very funny. Him and Danis together are just, yeah.
Oh, really?
Most of it you probably couldn't repeat, but it's just, yeah.
Yeah.
We always talk. We were talking about that this time. That if there's no way it would ever get approved because no network would pick it up, it'd be too risky. But if you could have a embedded cameraman just in the athlete tent and the after party and whatever else for Champions League, I mean, it's just so entertaining. It's
You'd probably have to censor it some way, but it could be like Real Talk with Strongman or something. And
yeah, something like that.
They'd probably sell. People would pay to watch it. So
there'd be a lot of censorship and a lot of, especially at the after party as it gets later into the evening.
Yeah. These guys, I got to give them credit because we always say we come over there and we feel kind of stupid being Americans only speaking one language or one and maybe another one poorly. Everyone from these other countries, it's convenient for us, but the common language is English. But they've all learned to swear very well in English. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other guy that I've been I got tips that I should interview that he's like a fun-loving, good interview is Christoph Rozzakowski. I don't know if you guys have ever come across him at all.
I know Christoph. Oh, yeah.
I competed with him one time last year in Curacao, but got to compete with him once before. It looks like he's kind of on the road to retirement now.
Yeah, that's what Marcel told me. He's retired, so it'd still be fun to have an interview because he's probably got enough stories to go forever. He was one of the guys. He is a couple spots ahead of me on that all-time list of greatest strongmen. I think I was number 14. But since I've been back to Worlds, I would have enough points, I think, to beat Jeff Capes in the 13th spot. I think it was Jeff Capes that was right ahead of me. But Christoph was like 8th. Mm-hmm. From the sheer volume of contests, national championships and international shows that he's done, in addition to World's Strongest Man and, top placing in so many of them.
It's funny that you describe it that way because the discussion I was having with, maybe I shouldn't say who it was, but the discussion I was having was Travis Ortmeyer has the best stories in all of Strongman. And he said to me, the other guy like that is Christoph.
That's awesome. I'd say it's about right. Most of those stories will never be on video. Let's just put it that way.
That's funny.
They're for the after live stream chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Live stream after dark. So we've been talking about a lot of really interesting stuff. Got to learn all about both of your SCL competitions and get some more details and behind the scenes stuff on what happened there. Anything you guys want to plug or, kind of as you decompress from those shows, what you have on the horizon for the future that you might want to discuss before we wrap up for the evening?
I'll let Jonathan go first if you got anything.
Yeah, I guess future coming up. My goal this year, I'm kind of putting most of my eggs in one basket with SCL and trying to make the finals. So the way they do it is interesting because there's 16 competitions. You can either do really well at one or two and accrue a lot of points that way, or you can do, if you're finishing in the middle of the pack, you might have to do a few more contests. And but it's basically total points at the end of the season determines who goes to the finals. I think it's top 12. And I started off with some points because I was able to compete last year Norway before things started shutting down. So if I can get, unfortunately with Portugal, I didn't get as many points as I was hoping with that one. But if I could get another contest, I think I might have a good shot at making the finals and see how I do this year going there. I've also signed up for official Strongman games, which is like a Giants Live qualifier. That's in November, and then I may do this show in the one we were talking about at the beginning with the Manning Brothers show in Colorado. So probably 2 or 3 more shows for the rest of the year, but I got to get this back injury sorted out first. And then as far as plugs, I work with Tough Wraps for equipment, so you can check them out. They make knee sleeves and all that stuff. And then Fusion Sport Performance is my supplement guy that I work with. He's actually kind of a small business, a guy had known for years from New Jersey, and but he's got really good products. I started working with him about a year or so ago, and so you could check that out if you're looking for a different pre-workout. And then I do my coaching with Simon Diesel Yates, his name is, on Instagram. Simon Yates, he's Adam Bishop's coach. And he actually was nice enough to come over to Portugal. Unfortunately, it wasn't the performance I would have wanted him to see. I would have hoped to do better, but it was nice having him there, though. So yeah, that's pretty much it for plugs and everything and future plans. How about you, Travis?
Fantastic. And now you have a second friend from New Jersey, Jonathan.
Oh, I didn't know you're from there.
Yes, sir. Maybe we do something together with Fusion one day. Who knows?
Yeah. What part of Jersey are you in?
Are you familiar at all? Like, would you know Paramus?
Oh yeah, that's very close to. I grew up in Kinnelon.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm in. Let's say close to Paramus. I won't divulge to the entire internet my exact coordinates.
Yeah. Wherever all the malls, just look for all the malls, and that's what.
But it's funny. So okay, so you grew up in Jersey and you're in Colorado now. Do you know Anthony San Lorenzo?
Sure do. Yeah.
Same idea. He grew up around here and he's also in Colorado.
Yeah, I think he's from Bergen County or something.
Yeah, I'm in Bergen County as well. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, well, next time
we gotta like have a party for the holidays. You guys come on over. We'll grab some good pizza or something.
My brother actually trains with Johnny Wazico, who's down in he's a 105 kilo pro. He's down in Clark, I think, is where his gym is.
He is.
Are you familiar with him?
Of course, Johnny was. Yeah, he was at Clash on the Coast. Johnny and I have talked a little bit on Instagram. I'm trying to actually put together something with him where I'm a member of a professional network, and we're looking for perks for the network. So I reached out to him like, hey, would you be interested in doing something out of your gym, like an intro to Strongman for someone who's never done it before, and maybe we do like a group rate or whatever. So I think that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, Johnny Was is awesome. Yeah. He did it in Russia recently.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he won the Masters, 105 Masters or something. It's pretty cool. But yeah, he's definitely – my brother trains with him regularly, and I do when I go back and visit. And he's another guy that's just a wealth of information. He's been in the sport a long time. So
that's awesome. Definitely give me a shout out when you're back in the area, man. I'd love to hang out.
Yeah. New Jersey doesn't have not a bad strongman scene, though. But anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
But go ahead, Travis. What do you have on the horizon?
Couple seminars. Got World's Strongest Seminar, September 4th in San Antonio. If you go to Heavy Metal Fitness Instagram page, you can get a hold of Michelle that way and sign up. It's going to be me, Gabriel Pena, Josh Thigpen, and Trey Mitchell III. And it's going to be pretty badass. I just the way she set it up, the things that she's got going, it's going to be an awesome seminar. So if anybody's in the area or wants to come out September 4th, go to Heavy Metal Fitness on Instagram and hit them up. Then, I've got my sponsors, Cerberus, Build Fast Formula, and Mother of Macros. If you check out my bio on Instagram, I've got all my links on one thing, including a link to my coaching page. So if you're looking to be coached, I am a strong man and just strength athletics in general coach. So hit me up. There we go. The first one, Zero Shoes. If you like no-soled shoes, you can really feel the ground. Those things are awesome. They're made for feet. They're really wide toe box. The first time I put my pair on, it was like slipping my hand into a glove. It was freaking awesome. I was sold on them. And I'm saying that since before I ever tried to sell their stuff on my page. So, yeah. And that's true of pretty much everything I ever work with. I'm not going to work with anything if it sucks. So There's that. But yeah, check out my Instagram page, Travis_Ortmeyer, and click on the link in my bio. I sound like an OnlyFans girl when I say that.
Well, which, we were speaking of OnlyFans, we were talking about some of the interesting requests we've both gotten over DMs, and it's stories of that too. Some interesting stuff people decide.
I'm still waiting. If I get that offer for $500 for my used underwear, 100%. You better bet your ass I'm selling them.
Has this happened since SCL this year or before that?
What's that?
Has this happened since SCL this year or before that?
You know what? I haven't checked all my message requests since I got home, so I can't say. But yeah, before that, I mean, I had over the years, you accumulate some real interesting requests and messages. Just people are weird, man. People are freaking weird. Which, no judgment here, whatever you're into. As long as you're not trying to force it on someone else, you do you, pal.
I mean, I think there's only like one logical thing to ask for. I would like an Atlas stone that Travis Ortmeyer lifted.
That'd be kind of all right. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. Can I get on the list for that too? I want probably 400 plus pounds. Okay, so
I got a few of those.
Yeah, entry level for me, please.
Yeah. Actually, on that topic, someone asked me about this about 2 weeks ago, and I figured it was a great comment or a great question to ask Travis specifically when he comes on. But someone that I know, he competes in powerlifting and he's considering switching to strongman, but he doesn't have any access to Atlas stones. And so basically what he wanted my opinion on was how much does training a deadlift translate over to lifting Atlas stones?
Not
and I basically told him,
I mean,
yeah, okay.
There's so many different biomechanics that come into play. I mean, how long are his arms? How big is his gut?
No, he's a shorter, stocky fellow.
So if you've got arms that can get around the stone, obviously it's going to make all the difference, because lifting a 400-pound stone, all you need technically is a little over a 400-pound deadlift. I mean, or maybe a deficit deadlift, because your hands are all the way at your feet. But if you can't get your arms around it, you could have a 900-pound deadlift and not be able to lift a 400-pound stone, because it's all about the grip. It's all about the arms on the stone. So nowadays we have the benefit of some of the ridiculous tacky that we have out there. When I first broke the 500-pound barrier with Atlas stones, it was 2006. I think it was a week after the Arnold in 2006, or a week before the Arnold, 2006. And, the tacky that we had was the old school Harpix Ray-Ban handball glue. It was nothing super special. It was just what modern day tacky, it would kind of be equated to some of the cold weather tacky that's almost like syrup when it gets warm. And it just so happened that stuff worked pretty decently well in Houston in March, because it was only, 80 degrees instead of 110 degrees, but back to what the original point was, we have tacky that is so good nowadays that, guys like Eddie Hall, who would just slather some of that elite stuff on, they could just stick to the side of the stone and then just kind of, all they do is pull it to their belly and then use their belly to put it up. So if you can master that technique, then he would be fine. He would just need to have the arm strength, enough to pull it into his body, and then his body strength enough to load the stone. So yeah, I guess, in a roundabout sort of way, the deadlift only matters in as much as it needs to be a little bit higher than the stone you plan to lift. The deficit deadlift. So does that all make sense?
Okay. Yeah. And that's basically what I told him. But I was like, I have someone who's well renowned for lifting stones coming on the channel in a little bit, and I'm gonna ask him. So, basically, like when I first started training stones, within a short matter of time, I'd done the 365 with no tacky, and then I did a 385 for a double with tacky. And that was before I had a 600-pound deadlift. And so it was one of those things where I was like, okay, cool. And then I was watching some of the other guys at the gym doing it. And there were a couple guys that had an 800+ deadlift, and they couldn't budge the 365. And so I told them about that, and I was like, it's kind of one of those things where some people are just better at it due to, like arm length, or I think part of it too, like I grew up working on dairy farms and just moving around weird, funky equipment all the time. And so I don't do as well with a regular bar. I do better with this if it's odd shaped. If I can just find a weird grip on it and hang on for dear life, kind of. So that's kind of what I told him, but I was like, I have someone that I want to ask specifically about.
That kind of brings me into the last and arguably most important part of lifting an Atlas stone. If you stand over the top of it and think about it, excuse the language, but it will mind fuck you. You have to just grab and go. No hesitation, no fear, no holding back. Just go. Grab it, pull. The faster you can grip it correctly, and then just pull off the ground, the better it's going to be.
Yeah. I had one more question, I guess, actually. This is more for me than nobody else has asked me to ask this. But because when I do stones, I do like a Vulcan grip, I guess, if you want to call it. And so I split my fingers and I just shove them as far under the stone as I can until they're getting, ideally until I can get them to touch, which realistically doesn't really happen, but
I used to do the same
in my mind. That's what I'm shooting for.
I used to do the same thing. I would try to do that, but after breaking this finger on a tire flip, I can't quite spread this hand out as much. I can do it with my left fine, but this one, it doesn't quite go as far. So just live long. It's lacking the prosper. I gotta live long and prosper with that hand, but now I don't think I mess with trying to jam my fingers that far under. I think I get them under. I feel the ground because you start smashing your fingernails, and then you just go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of how I've been doing it. And then I was working with someone else who was just trying stones, and the first time he did it, he tried to do that and caught his fingernail on like a little pebble or something in the concrete or something, and then the stone rolled right over, and the next day whole end of his finger was all black, and like we're like, oh well, I don't think it's broken. But yeah, so I was like,
I made the mistake of trying to spot my father on an Atlas stone lift once.
Yeah,
and it was like 330 or something like that, and I remember reaching under to try to spot it up, and he dropped it right at that time. These two fingers had this weird, like from the last digit, I had this like dark purple line that went around. It was like it just smashed it and wanted to explode outward, but the skin was holding it in. And I had it on both of these fingers for like 6 weeks after that.
Yeah, that's kind of how his finger was, except it was all along the top of it here. And it was just the one finger, and it was just, just the distal portion. But I was like, well, sucks. Hasn't happened to me yet, but sorry that had to happen to you.
I mean, at least he was jamming his hands under there.
And at least you got it, yeah. But
well, now you got me going. Now I want to ask a question. So what's easier, a natural stone lift or an Atlas stone lift? Because in an Atlas stone, you can squeeze, but on a natural stone, you got more places to grab.
I personally do better with Atlas stones. I don't know, maybe because I've got more practice with an Atlas stone. I know how to grab and go, and there's one balance point. With a natural stone, you got to really figure out the balance points. There may be a lot of hand grips, but there may only be one that is viable, where the stone won't roll forward or backward.
Plus, with the Atlas stone, when you hit that triple extension, it's going to roll up smoothly. Given the irregular surface of a natural stone, I think that clean portion of it, it gets tricky, I think.
That's a good point. Very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I haven't gotten to a heavy enough weight to make it tricky yet. I'll let you know when I get there.
All right.
Yeah. I was going to say, because I think it really depends on the natural stone, because I've had some 200 some pound stones that are just miserable to try and lift. And then I've had some, mid 300s that are pretty easy just because the handholds are just perfect on them and everything. And so I think it partly just depends on the stone as well. Whereas the Atlas stone, they're all uniform. So once you get the technique down, it's the same for all of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least in my limited opinion, limited experience.
I think you're right on. I think you're right on.
Yeah, with my amateur level strongman experience.
Hey, listen, man, I'm the strongest man in all of the woods near my house.
Nice.
I don't know. I've met some pretty freakishly strong homeless people before, though, so you might want to be careful.
I ran into one guy in those woods one day, and he's a long distance runner, so I got that dude.
Yeah, he's not lifting anything.
You're gonna win that one.
I don't know if I told Travis. I don't know if I told you the story on Instagram. It's the funniest thing. So you saw I had my kind of makeshift setup with stone over bar, and I was doing natural stones. So one day, and I left it there, and it stayed like the deer left it alone. It stayed there for like a week. And so I go in there one day, and I do my stones, and I walk the rest of the trail, jog the rest of the trail, whatever, in search of logs to lift. And so I run into this guy like doing his long distance running. And he goes, hey, were you setting up a campsite over there or something? And I said, oh, what are you watching me? He says, yeah. I said, no, like I have a strongman channel. I got to prove I can do this stuff myself. Okay. What's your channel? But yeah, he thought I was setting up a campsite.
Hey, to each their own, I guess.
Well, I thought you'd get a kick out of that one.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of said it looks like a spit. You're gonna roast something over a fire. Yeah.
Yeah, just like every day I went in there and I'm like, I found this huge log I tried to squat. I'm trying to come up with different things to mimic, and I found that one branch with the fork in it. So I said, hey, let me find another branch and make a fork out of it, and we're good to go.
Well, so far it's worked for you.
Yeah, so far so good. I've done overhead press. I've done fingers. I've done stone over bar. I've done a lot of stuff in the woods.
I mean, if you think about it, that really is the history of strongman.
Kind of, yeah.
Hundreds of years ago, two farmers with adjoining farms, and the one says, hey, I can pick this rock up, and can you do it? And the other guy goes, yeah, look, I picked it up twice. And there you go, competition.
That's it. Yeah, I can throw it farther than you. I can put it over my head. You can't, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I found this giant log. I tried the Steinborn. I couldn't quite get it. And so I come back the next day and it rained, so it soaked up the water. Now it's heavier. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, you're going to have to wait on that one. My very first log, I remember driving around. I think I was just in a friend's neighborhood, and I just happened to look out the window of my truck, and I saw this old fence post, about 8 or 10 inches of diameter, and it was sitting in the ditch. And so I'm like, there, that's a log right there. Let's do that. And I was 20 years old. I didn't have any freaking clue what I was doing. So I pull over and I pull this thing out of a wet ditch, throw it in the back of my truck. I'm like, God dang, this thing is so heavy. I don't know if there's any chance I'll be able to press it, but whatever, we'll give it hell and we'll grow into it. So I bring it back to the house, and I start drilling into it and trying to make hand cutouts for the holes. And then, after a few days of working on it, it starts to dry out and it literally starts to disintegrate. And so I take a roll of duct tape and I'm trying to tape this whole thing together. I'm like, I put in so much work so far. I don't want to lose it now. No, man, after 2 weeks, it weighed maybe 60 pounds. It was dried out. Pieces were falling off. I pressed it overhead. I got a face full of shit. I was like, God dang it. All right, we'll chalk that one up to a learning lesson. And so a few weeks later, I was on the way to my girlfriend's house at the time. And right in front of her neighborhood is a 4-way stop. They had a brand new telephone pole on each corner. Now, this was like Friday evening. So I figured they were going to put it up Monday. So I went to a friend of mine's house. I went over to a buddy's house and I asked him to borrow his chainsaw. And, he said, yeah, sure. What are you going to use it for? I'm like, you don't want to know. Just let me borrow your chainsaw. So Sunday night, I pull up on the side of the road right next to one of these telephone poles, crank the chainsaw up, cut 2 sections out of it, throw it in the back of my truck and take off. I went to my girlfriend's house the next day. 3 of them were up, and that 4th one was still laying there. So I can't imagine what those guys were thinking. Like, what the hell happened to this thing?
Well, who steals telephone poles?
Exactly. But I just happened to cut a section that when I cut the handles out of it, it weighed right at 200 pounds. And those things are soaked in all kinds of nasty shit I probably don't even want to know. So it was tough, and it lasted a really long time. And that turned out to be a really good log. A good log that may or may not have given me cancer at some point in my life later on. Who knows? But no, that one worked out well, and I employed the lessons from that failed disaster beforehand. And I learned a few things, so it probably worked out for the best. But that's my story on how I got my first log.
It's a great story, just like all your stories are. Awesome. So let's, why don't we wrap it up, gentlemen? Thank you so much for joining us again this evening, talking about Strongman Champions League, Finland, Portugal, and a whole bunch of other stuff. We really do appreciate it. And maybe we talk again after your next competition. What do you say?
Hell yeah, absolutely.
Definitely,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, guys. And of course, for everybody watching, as always, until next time. Ciao, homie.